Hello everyone, this is Rick. Welcome to the second part of the Later Vedic Age. This video has been made in accordance to the syllabus of Class 6 of ICSE or CISCE board. And in the last part of this video, we have tried to give the important question and answers. So please watch till the end and also carry a notebook with you while you are going through this video so that you can note down the important points. And if you have any doubts, then please post it in comments. So, later Vedic age, how was it important and what are its chief characteristics? Before going into the part 2 of this video, let's have a recap of what we have already discussed in part 1. In part 1, we have given an introduction to the later Vedic age where we have discussed the time frame of the later Vedic age. We have also discussed the geographical expansion of the period, and then we have gone through the sources, literary and archaeological, of the later Vedic age. What are the literary evidences present and what are the archaeological evidences of the time? Then we have gone through the social life. How was the society during this period of time? We have also seen the four ashramas. Ashramas means the four stages of life. We have seen how brahmacharya, grihastha, vanapastha, and sannyasa are important. We have also gone through the varna system where we have seen different categories of varnas like brahmin, kshatriyas, vaishyas, and shudras. We have also gone through the education system of the later Vedic age where we have discussed different aspects of education like religious education, grammar, astronomy, and philosophy. The religious life of the later Vedic people have also been focused upon with discussing the new kind of deities which emerged during the later Vedic period. So now moving forward, we will discuss about the economic life of the later Vedic people. As we know that during the early Vedic times, the economy was mainly pastoral. Pastoral economy means people used to live from the animal products or by rearing animals, mainly the cattle, sheep, and goats. So that was the economy of the early Vedic people. Now we will see how is the economy of the later Vedic people. Agriculture. It became the primary occupation. New techniques improved productivity and tools like iron plows were introduced. So during the later Vedic times, agriculture became the primary activity, unlike the early Vedic period where pastoral economy was present. So agriculture means people learned how to grow crops by using the different resources of nature, and that became the main occupation of the people. And why did it become such a main occupation? Because new techniques of agriculture were implied that improve productivity, and tools like iron plows were also introduced. Iron plows means the uh, equipments for digging the soil that was made up of wood before. Now during the later Vedic times it is totally made out of iron. Barley, wheat, rice, and pulses were the main crops grown. So, what were the main crops grown here? The main crops were barley, wheat, and rice and pulses. They were the main things grown during the later Vedic period. Trade. Trade flourished and a barter system prevailed. Barter system means giving some goods in order to get some other kind of good. So that one is barter system. In the aspect of trade, barter system was prevalent. Communities engaged in the exchange of goods with neighboring regions. People from different regions used to engage in trading activities, and also the people depended on others for different kinds of goods. So trade flourished a- using a barter system where communities exchanged different kinds of goods. Crafts. Pottery and weaving became notable crafts with evidence of skilled artisanship. So, pottery and weaving were the main forms of crafts prevalent during the later Vedic time, and there was skilled artisanship in the production of crafts. Means there were people dedicated to specific craft related works. Next up, we will discuss about the political life of the people during the later Vedic period. The political life of the people emerged into kingdoms from tribal entities. Society was primarily organized into tribal polities, but by the later Vedic age, larger kingdoms began to emerge. So, before during the early Vedic times, the society was organized into tribal polities. Tribal polities means similar people having similar culture used to live together. That was tribal polity. But during the later Vedic age, kingdoms began to emerge, and thus we get foundations of different kingdoms in the North Indian subcontinent. Kingship became hereditary, and the king's role in the society expanded to include protection and administration. So, kingship became hereditary, meaning kingship, the son of the king only could become a king next in line. It was not based on merit, unlike the early Vedic times, where the most qualified or the most capable person became the king. So, king's role in the society expanded to include protection and administration. What was the king's role in the society? Not only to distribute wealth among the people, but also to protect the people from external or internal threats, and also to manage the governance. That means to manage the administration. All these things became the responsibility of king, and so kingship was hereditary with the responsibility of protection and administration as new roles of the king. The Sabha and Samiti assemblies continued but gradually became less powerful as kings centralized authority. So, in the early Vedic times, we have seen two important assemblies, the Sabha and the Samiti, where people used to gather for decision making. Or Sabha and Samiti also had legislative powers, meaning law making powers. So, Sabha and Samiti assemblies continued, but gradually it became less powerful as the king's power became more, the power of Sabha and Samiti decreased. So, that was all about the political life where kingdoms began to emerge and the role of king was expanded to protection and administration, and along with that it was not on the kingship was not on the basis of merit anymore. It became hereditary. The Sabha and Samiti assemblies gradually lost their power because the king became overall head of everything in a kingdom. Next up, we will discuss about the most important source of the later Vedic period, that is the epic of Ramayana. The Ramayana, attributed to sage Valmiki, tells the story of Prince Ram, the eldest son of King Dasharath of Ayodhya. So, Ramayana basically tells the story of Prince Ram, and he is the eldest son of King Dasarath of Ayodhya. It is a story of how Ram went into exile with his wife Sita and brother Lakshman. The epic describes Rama's exile, his wife Sita's abduction by Ravan, and ensuing battle in Lanka. So, that is the story of Ramayana, where Ram goes to exile with his wife Sita in order to give the kingdom to his brother, and in order to get punished by his father. He goes into exile, and when they are in exile, Sita is captured or abducted by King Ravan of Lanka, and Rama takes the help of Hanuman, Sugriv, and other generals, and along with the army of Vanars, he attacks Lanka, defeats Ravan, and brings his wife back. That is the story of Ramayana. It reflects the ideals of dharma, duty, loyalty, and concept of ideal ruler and spouse. So, through the story of Ramayana, we get reflection on the ideals of dharma. Dharma means righteousness and dutifulness. So, ideals of dharma have been described in the story of Ramayana, and also we get evidences of loyalty. Loyalty means pledge or honor towards a certain entity, and the concept of ideal ruler, how an ideal king should be, that has also been described in Ramayana, and what are the duties of queen or the spouse of an ideal ruler. So all these things gives us an insight into the later Vedic society. Next up, we have the story of Mahabharat. How is the Mahabharat important, and what is the story behind the epic Mahabharat? Mahabharat, attributed to Vash, is a tale of conflict between two families, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, for control over the Kuru kingdom. So there are two sets of brothers, the Pandavas, where there are five brothers: Yudhishthir, Bhim, Arjun, Nakul, and Sahadev. And we have the Kauravas, who are a group of 100 brothers. And the Duryodhan is the eldest of the Kauravas. So these two sets of brothers fight in order to get control over Kuru kingdom. And there are different moral obligations and also different confusions involved in that fight or war. The battle at Kurukshetra serves as the climax of this epic. So, the ending point of this epic happens in the battle of Kurukshetra, which serves as the climax. Embedded within the Mahabharata is the Bhagavad Gita, a philosophical discourse on dharma and duty. So, Bhagavad Gita is one of the holy texts in the Hindu religion that is a part of Mahabharata. When Arjun is in problem, that time Sri Krishna explains Arjun regarding what kind of moral laws one should follow in his life, and through those explanations we get an understanding of the moral concept of dharma and duty. So thus embedded within Mahabharata is the Bhagavad Gita, which is a philosophical discourse on righteousness and what are our duties towards our society. So that is the story of Mahabharata. Now we will discuss the importance of Vedic culture. What are the important aspects of the Vedic culture? Mainly the later Vedic culture. The later Vedic age laid the foundation for Hinduism as it is known today. Hinduism, with all the rituals and different deities that we know today, owes its foundation to the later Vedic age. It was during the later Vedic age that all these concepts of different types of gods and their stories, also the religious rituals, came into being. Religious practices, social structures, and philosophical ideas from this period influenced later Indian civilization. So, it was the culture of this period that laid the foundation of later Indian civilization. So, religious practices during the later Vedic period is still continued today, along with the social structures and philosophical ideas. So, all these things together comprise the later Vedic culture, which has its influence even today in Indian society. The concepts of Varna, ashram, and rituals were formalized. So, the concept of Varna means attributing caste to different sets of people. So that was formalized during this period. Ashrams means the stages of life, that was also formalized during this period. And different kinds of rituals regarding worshipping of different gods, all these things were laid down by following proper protocols during the later Vedic culture. The core beliefs of karma and rebirth became integral parts of Hindu philosophy. So, karma means what are the actions one is performing while they are alive. So, that is karma. And rebirth means uh, the Atman takes birth or comes to this world in different forms of bodies. So, that is rebirth. These concepts became an integral part of Hinduism during the Vedic culture. Now we will go through the important question and answers, beginning with what is the later Vedic age and when did it occur? The later Vedic age is the period in ancient Indian history that followed the early Vedic age. It is generally dated between 1000 BC and 500 BC. During this time, the Vedic culture spread from the northwest of India to the eastern regions, particularly around the Ganga Yamuna plains. What were the primary sources of information about the later Vedic age? The primary sources of information about the later Vedic age include the Samaveda, Yajurveda, Atharvaveda, along with associated texts like the Brahmanas, Aranyakas, and Upanishads. Archaeological findings such as pottery and tools also provide insights into life during this period. How did social structure evolve during the later Vedic age? During the later Vedic age, society became more structured with the division of people into four main social classes or varnas: Brahmins, who are the priests and scholars; Kshatriyas, warriors and rulers; Vaishyas, farmers and traders; and Shudras, laborers and service providers. What were the four ashrams and what did they represent? The four ashrams represented the four stages of life in Vedic society. They were Brahmacharya, student life focused on learning; Grihastha, householder's life focused on family responsibilities; Vanaprastha means hermit stage, a transition to renunciation; and Sannyasa, renunciation focusing on spiritual pursuits. Explain the significance of the Varna system in the later Vedic age. The Varna system became more rigid during the later Vedic age, defining social roles based on birth. Brahmins were responsible for performing rituals, Kshatriyas for ruling and protecting, Vaishyas for trade and agriculture, and Shudras served the other classes. This hierarchy organized society but also restricted social mobility. Describe the education system during the later Vedic age. Education in the later Vedic age took place in gurukuls, where students lived with their teacher and studied various subjects, including Vedic text, rituals, grammar, astronomy, and philosophy. Education was mainly oral, and memorization was highly emphasized. How did religious practices changed during the later Vedic age? Religious practices became more ritualistic with an increased emphasis on sacrifices, that is, yajnas, and ashwamedha, horse sacrifice, and rajasuya, royal consecration. Worship shifted from nature gods to more complex deities, including Prajapati, the creator, and Varuna, the protector of cosmic order. What were the main economic activities during the later Vedic age? The main economic activities included agriculture, where people cultivated crops like barley, wheat, and rice. Trade also developed, and people practiced crafts such as pottery and metal work. Barter was the common system of exchange, as coins were not yet in use. Describe the political life and governance during the later Vedic age. Political life was organized into kingdoms led by hereditary kings. The assemblies such as Sabha and Samiti began to lose power as kings centralized authority. Kings performed elaborate rituals to assert their legitimacy and gain support from the Brahmins. Summarize the story of Ramayana in context to the later Vedic age. Ramayana tells the story of Prince Ram who goes into exile with his wife Sita and brother Lakshman. Sita is kidnapped by the demon king Ravan, and Rama, with the help of allies like Hanuman, rescues her after a great battle. This story reflects the ideals of duty, loyalty, and concept of an ideal king. Summarize the story of Mahabharat and its importance. The Mahabharat is an epic that tells the story of conflict between the Pandavas and the Kauravas, two royal families. The climax is the battle of Kurukshetra, where Lord Krishna gives the Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, teaching him about duty and righteousness. The epic reflects the complex moral and ethical issues of the time. Why is the Vedic culture considered important for Indian civilization? The Vedic culture laid the foundation for later Hindu philosophy, religious practices, social structures, and cultural values. Concepts like karma, dharma, and the Varna system became integral to Indian society, influencing not just religious beliefs but also laws, education, and societal norms. So that was all about the later Vedic age. Hope you have liked this video and please support me so that I can bring brighter contents in future. Thank you for your love and support.